Okay.
Hey you guys, welcome back. It's been a while, but guess what? I got the big C. I got COVID. So we had to stop everything for a while. I don't know if you, my voice I think has changed a bit, but actually had laryngitis with it too. I've never had that before. Not that I recall anyways. What we're going to do today, a very popular cut, and you're seeing it short and you're seeing it long. And I'm going to describe it to you. I've got the diagrams here on how to do it, how to section it, how to cut it, and I'll be going back and forth. I'll be moving the mannequin over so then we can talk about the diagram and what we just did. So the first thing we're going to do is the 0 degree. That's the first cut. The first step, do cuts that you're familiar with. The 0 and then the 180. The 180, we're going to do it front to back. The reason for front to back is the wolf cut comes forward and it has volume, but yet comes forward in it. If I do it, it's my husband opening up a water bottle, so you might have picked up that fizzing sound. But anyways, when you do it, it's going to be the same. If you want to try it side to side first, as far as side to side, you can. But we're going to be cutting our 180 front to back. In other words, right to the end of the apex. And to create that, we want that to cup around a little bit, because once we get rid of this corner, and you can see we've got this lined out, that's the second step. Once we get rid of this corner, it's going to chop it in anyways. All right, so what I'm going to do first, please don't forget my book. It's still out there, still rated for 4-star by Barnes & Noble. You can get it online if you want. So far it's been doing real well, so I hope that you get it. The last chapter's for you. When you guys are ready, let's get into some really learning about how color happens. That's the last chapter, and people say, well, I already know that. Do you? I can ask you what are the 3 shades of brown? Do you know what they are? How do we create them? What are the 3 shades of platinum? Do you know how we create them? What are the 3 shades of gray? Do you know how they're made? You should be able to spill that out off the top of your head on how they're made. All right? That says you know color. And then you learn product. I mean, product is great, but my goodness, if you don't know what you're putting together, how do you know what results you're going to get? Sometimes we get real comfortable with one product, and then another line comes in that does something that everybody wants, and you're thinking, okay, what do I do with this? So knowing color is extremely important. But anyways, the last chapter is for you. All right, so I'm going to go down to the center nape. I'm going to be turning the mannequin as I do it. Is it going to be perfectly straight when I'm teaching? You guys know I'm twisting and turning, so I'm going to do my very, very best. I just want to get rid of these little scraggly ends, so before I cut, I always look up. My eyes are always going up and down to make sure I'm using the secondary position. I could say palm down, primary, palm out, palm down, extended. And people say, well, we would never use that. Okay, what are you doing when you're face framing? You're extended. Okay, so anyways, this here's my guide. I'm going to travel around using, again, secondary position. I'm not flipping it out to cut. When you do this and go with the primary position, it's going to flip out. I don't want it to flip out. I want it to stay down. So keep following my guide, secondary position, come straight down. So we're getting this done. And like I said, once you diagram it, once you know what to do next, haircutting is simple, but you still know procedures. The whole thing is what does your client want, and what are the variables in that client's hair? So we all know how to do the 0. I'm doing the 0 right now. And let's hope that it's even. I'm going to check it, and if it's not even, where am I going to find my area of error? Does anybody remember? Let me check it real quick. Okay, I'm a little longer on this side. So it's right here, this corner. Okay, see the corner? Right there. That's what's causing all my problems. I know you probably can't see it. I'm going to try and turn it around so you can see my fingers. See it? Short, short, long. Corner right here. It's that area at the nape because I went around it. So I'm going to come forward now. You're going to see that that line is going to increase. And then now it should be even because when hair travels, by the way, it gets longer. That is why when you comb, oh, and I have a side part. Well, I'm doing real well today. Okay, now we're even. Let me check this side. I want to be absolutely, yeah, this is okay. No, it's all right. I got a little twig right here. Nope, we're okay. It's just the way they, oh, here it is. It's just the way the hair's landing. So I'm trying to get it as perfect as I can because I know sometimes you can see it and I can't. But this hair right here, I want to show you something. When I comb this down, why do you suppose we end up with an extreme corner right here? Right there. That's because this hair traveled. When hair travels, it becomes longer. If I were to pull this back, the hair here would be shorter, this would be longer. Okay, that's just a rule of thumb in hair cutting. Okay, so now I'm gonna do the 180, and you notice I'm not sectioning. The reason I'm not sectioning is because I know where I'm at, so I know where I'm going. My wolf cut's gonna be a little bit longer than most of them, because normally the wolf cut, when it's done, can you still get the mannequin, cameraman? The wolf cut, normally when it's done, is pretty much cut to the nose. And you're going to find that, yeah, eventually we will be doing that. But at this point, what I want to do is I want to create a lot of movement. And by doing it front to back, what it's going to do, it's going to cup under instead of pulling out. The wolf cut, if you look at it in all of them, even though it's choppy, it comes in. That's why you need to do it front to back when you do the 180. All right? So I'm going, and some people take it actually to a stationary spot. On the 180, they bring everything to the center. My preference is to leave it open and take it all the way across. So I'm going to part it at the center now. The nose is my guide. Part it at the center. And yes, I'm going to get a little bit of a shorter piece because this was over here. Longer piece, shorter piece, and maybe it traveled. All right, so let me get this wet again. We're just going to kind of go through it, but you already know how to do the question mark. You know how to do the number 1, number 2, and then the ears go there. The reason I put the little nodule there's the tragus. The tragus is to measure sideburns. If you've been studying my classes, you've become familiar with the terms. All right, so I'm going to take it front to back. I'm not going to cut a lot off right now. Probably a lot to your standards, but not for this cut. And just right to the end of the apex. I'm not going into the crown. Not yet. So cutting it straight up, now what happens? This hair then becomes my guide for the next cut because I'm traveling back to the parietal line. So if I'm going to do a 180, I need to do a 180, don't I? Just to the apex, the end of the apex where the comb leaves the head, right there. You put the comb straight on top of the head, that's where it leaves the head. That's the end of the apex. Starts curving down into the crown. Now what we're going to do, the parietal line becomes my wall or my guide for the rest of the cut. Don't do that to your client. As I do this, excuse me, 180. And that's not much that I'm taking off, just a few little sprigs. I'm going to just step over to the other side. Now, that center part, that becomes my guide for the next section, the one just across. See it? So I'm going to bring it straight up, cut straight across, just up to the apex. And now I just go back, and my guideline again becomes the hair that I previously cut. Move it over. take a small section, bring this over almost to the parietal line. The parietal line becomes the wall. Yes, we're building the wall. Let me get some more hair right there so I can see. There's my guide. I can see it. And you guys know how to check a 180, don't you? Just tell your mannequin or your client to do a headstand, and it should be perfectly flat. But your mannequin, you just turn it upside down, and it should be perfectly flat all the way across if you did it right. There's your wall. See it? That's coming straight up. Parietal line. Everything leans to the parietal line, however, goes only straight up. I'm assuming you're going to want me to turn it upside down. Well, not yet. Not until I do the back. Okay, so I'm going to turn the mannequin around, and the back again is going to be horizontal pieces. But I'm not going to do that here now. I've got my 180 up to the apex. That's it. You see it right there? It starts curving down. Now we're going to go to step 2. Instead of taking this and cutting it into that 180, I'm going to carve it around the crown. Do you know where the crown of the head is at? It's a perfect little circle there around the crown. And I'm not going to cut it horizontally. I'm going to bring it like I've got a ponytail right here. I'm drawing all the hair to the center. And how much length do I want off? That's the variable. I'm going to match it to the other hair. So there's my guide. I have a little tiny guide right there. See it? So there's my guide right there to the center crown, and I'm going to cut it diagonal to the crown. What happens then is it goes nicely into a circle. If you cut it horizontal, you're going to see a real hard line here. And you can see that that's actually very soft. There is no hard line that you can see, and there's actually more movement. The next step on the wolf cut, right here, the frontal fringe, just in front of the apex. Take it to the parietal line, and again it's cut. We're going to call it diagonally, but both of them are following what? The upper ridge. When I cut it, I held it up to the upper ridge. This is the upper ridge. All right? It's above the parietal line. That's that curve of the head that people tell you about, but they never tell you where it's at. Okay, now there is my guide right there. So I'm going to take it, bring it forward, and this is where you make a decision. If you want it shorter, if they want bangs, all right, you want to bring it forward and cut. And then you can clean up bangs into it later if you want. And I'm going to show you how to do that if you want to do that. At this point, I'm going to leave it a little bit longer. And this does because now what's this doing? It's traveling right from this area. If I bring it down, it's straight out from this area. So if I cut it across where it's straight out from where it grows, it's going to be shorter. So I'm going to bring it up into it. And again, and I don't want to cut it horizontal because we're going to end up with like Dora bangs. Heavy look. The wolf cut is not heavy. It's just a real choppy, a real fine look. And you can already almost see it coming in. You can already see those little choppy areas. It's just this long area here. See, the wolf cut is not difficult. It's a simple cut to do. And you can do it as short or as long as you want. That's where they have it with the real short bob, and that's all they did. The 180, cut it directly on the along the upper ridge vertically here. Now here's the variable. You see this corner here, right along the temporal area, right where the sideburn is at. That's the longest piece. We're going to go back. You can see there's your parietal line to the tip of the ear. Parietal line to the tip of the ear. Now I am bringing the hair off the top as well. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to part it off in this form. And I'm taking it from the center crown in the back. Let me turn her around so you can see how I'm doing this. You saw the front, center crown in the back. The parietal line is my guide for the cut. All right, so I'm parting it off. I want to keep this there at this point. So I'm parting it off in this form, and what I have here is a corner. I'm going to take that corner off, and I'm cutting it diagonally, following the parietal line to the tip of the ear. In other words, I'm not bringing it down, I'm not bringing it up. It's that area right there. And you can see it on the diagram. Parietal line to tip of the ear. And this one, you see, travels back. It's not taken like in a ponytail. It travels back into it, and what that does, again, it creates those choppy layers coming in to create the wolf cut. Now you see this area, the area on the bottom at the temporal area, we want that to be cleaned up because that's a square. You want to bring it all the way back from the nape. Now again, here's my guide. Here's my guide at the nape, and this time I'm just going to point cut. So the wolf cut, and then if we want to put bangs in, we will, but do you see how rounded that is? That's what creates a roundness. If I part it from the crown to the, I'll do it different on this side so you can see the difference in it. If you take it backwards, it's going to make a difference, but not a whole lot. If I take it from the crown to the temporal area, you're going to end up with the same corner, but you're going to see that it's a bit of a different cut. Now you see the corner? Same corner. This time I'm going the opposite way. Instead of parietal line to tip of the ear, it's from the apex or the vertex to the temporal. And then again, elevating it out to that very center point there. Slightly elevated up a bit. And you'll see a difference in the cut. It's more of a layered cut. You see what I'm saying? More of a layered cut than the wolf cut. So I'm going to take it, see this area here, this is a little softer. What do you want? You can either have it really choppy or you can have it softer. And you'll notice that you don't see that corner so much. So initially either way is all right. I'm going to just chop into that little corner because we kind of picked it up. But let's say that the wolf decides that she wants some bangs in there. We're going to take it just, not much, halfway into the frontal fringe, still yet triangular shape, not rectangular. And I'm going to bring it up. We want it right about to mid-nose. That's your guide. So you can see where it's slightly rounded. It's not really rectangular, it's just slightly half-moon rounded there. All right, so I'm going to take it out, cut it vertically. And this, again, the vertical cut, what it does, this hair is shorter. The rest of the hair is just, the hair off the temporal line is going to be a little longer because what? It traveled. Now, there you go. Now you're beginning to see more of a wolfy cut. Do we want more movement on top? I want you to see the difference. I cut it, what? Front to back. I'm going to take this very center part here, the center apex, and I am going to cut it side to side. The reason for that, and again, see the corners, short, short, long. And that's only because of the other cuts. The reason for the side to side, now you're going to see, again, more movement. And see the lift. With the wolf cut, you get this kind of choppy moving forward. See, it's hard to get it to go back. They like it to come down and look just a little bit choppy coming into it. So all of these areas, now the only variable that I did, the side, I did a frontal fringe on it, but the side here, I took it from parietal line to tip of the ear, where the other one was temporal to the center crown. So whichever way that you want to do it, you see both sides. This is a little more movement. When we did it from the crown, surprisingly enough, to the temporal. This is a little softer. Some people don't want it too wolfy. They want it just a little bit softer, and because we did it from the parietal line to the tip of the ear, it cups under. This is the opposite direction, almost vertical, where the other one, surprisingly enough, in this direction is slightly horizontal to the perimeter line of the face. So you've got to know where you're at on this. That's the whole avenue behind it. But I want you to check the back. See that length, break in the length? You really can't see it because we went ahead and did the, we did the 180, and then it's still going to fall down and be slightly layered, but you really can't see where it stops and then all of a sudden straight again. So the wolf cut is a simple cut to do. It's not that hard. It just depends on, do you want movement? You're going to change what you're going to do on the side. Do you want softness? And some people like that little choppy softness coming forward. You can kind of see a little bit of a hard line right there. But, that goes back to client preference, doesn't it? Now, watch what happens now. You see what I did? I moved this hair over and gave her a side part, and it looks more wolfy. Move it over this way. Still does kind of the same thing. So it's not a difficult cut. It's just you got to know where you're at, know where you're going. Remember, 0, then the 180. Then you're going to take it from the crown. You're going to separate the crown. Remember that. Bring it straight out and cut it diagonally to that. And you're going to bring it around like a ponytail. You are going to cut it vertically. Do not cut it straight across or you'll end up with you won't get this look in the back at all. It's just going to look like, you're going to see that line. It's going to look just very all one length. And we want to do it in this direction because look, shorter, shorter, shorter. If we cut it horizontally, it all falls down the same length. Okay, know what's happening, know the geometry behind it. Then we're going to do the frontal fringe. Again, diagonal cut. Then we're going to do the sides, and you decide, do I want to go parietal line to tip of the ear? Do I want to go center crown, which is more hair, to the temporal? Either way, it's diagonal. And you're going to cut it diagonally. You're going to bring all that hair to it and cut it diagonally. Now, then you make the determining factor. Some of that has to do with hair growth. If you find that they need just a little bit more volume, only pick up the apex, that's all. Don't change the cuts that you've just created at the frontal fringe and the crown. Only pick up the apex. And then decide, we gave it more movement when we cut it side to side. Now, I've shared with you before about front to back and side to side, right? I mean, if you do a 180 and you cut it all front to back to the apex, and it falls down, it's going to cup under. If you take it side to side, it's going to flip out. And that's what we ended up doing here. It caused it to pop up a little bit. But because this was so strong and all of it was just a little bit different, okay, it's still laying down smoothly. Plus, remember, parietal line to tip of the ear. So again, we just kind of came from a front to back at an angle coming down. Because we broke this up and it came in the other direction, it changed it a bit and became just a little choppier, a little more movement. You can do this cut on any length hair. You can take the real shorter cuts. You're seeing them on videos. You're seeing them and how they're doing them. They just show you. They don't necessarily tell you where they are as opposed to the exact location and the exact cut that you're going to be doing. So your sectioning is extremely important for this. So, I know where I'm at, so I usually don't section anymore. But, follow through with it. I wish you much luck with it. I hope you get it. It's a very popular cut from very short to very long, and I've seen it on hair as short as mine. Oh, by the way, I want to share with you guys. I don't know if you noticed my hair or not, but I do my own haircuts. I told you before. And this is done with a razor, straight edge razor. All right. The more you understand about hair cutting, the more you get how to cut. Are you filming me do my hair, or are you still on the mannequin?
Both.
Both? Okay, so I'm safe. Now, I don't know how my back was. Was I splitting? Because my students did the texture shear back here. I'm at a new school right now that's just starting out, and we're helping them put it together and working with them and stuff. It's their very first semester, and it's quite interesting, but it's fun. I like being around young people. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please, if you have any questions, I do want to delve deep into color. But let's get into color. Let's get into understanding how color happens. And then we can see about maybe talking about levels of color, maybe talking about skin color, maybe talking about the different types of hair that we can work with. You've got to know what coarse hair is. You've got to know what fine hair is. You've got to know what what density is. I mean, how thick is their hair? You know, any single chemical service to the hair shaft is like taking a feather and ruffling it back 3 times. And when you reapply on that same spot, you've just ruffled that feather again 9 times. I hope that helps you. All right, take care, be blessed, see you again.